Did you feel the Republican Party, Lindsey Graham in particular, was exerting undue pressure on you and actually trying to find a way to toss legally cast ballots out of the system?
Uh, I don't know. It wasn't undue because I said no. So at the end of the day, we are following our process.
What did Lindsey Graham say to you,
Yeah,
Secretary of State Raffensperger, when he called you on Friday?
when he called originally, it was really to talk about the two runoffs we have for the U.S. Senate seats, since he's influential in that area. But he asked if the absentee ballots could be matched back to the envelope. So I explained how it works in Georgia, that the signature is matched when you make your ballot application, and then the signature is matched again when the ballot comes back. So there's two signature checks there. But once that happens, then the ballot is separated from the envelope, and then you can't match them back. I felt that he implied that for us to audit the envelopes and throw out ballots of counties who had the highest frequency error of signatures. And I mentioned that that's not something we can do. And that's really where we left it. I told him I'd talk to my general counsel and we'd circle back. And there was no need to circle back because then President Trump put out his tweet about something along those lines. And it just appeared that they were already coordinating their campaign. And subsequent to that, I understand there's a lawsuit in Michigan really along those lines. And this attorney, Lynn Wood, has filed a lawsuit about the absentee ballot process, which we're going to defend.
The fact they called you and asked you this, Brad, did you feel it was inappropriate?
Yeah, I did. And that's why I didn't call him back. I talked to counsel and we just kind of moved off. Fortunately, I had a couple of my staff members on the call because I understand everything that we do will be put under a microscope. And at the end of the day, no matter how this election falls, I want voters to have confidence in the accuracy of the election. And as a Republican, I know I'm going to probably be disappointed that something's not going to happen during this audit, because as the numbers come in, it's just really substantiating that the vote was accurately counted on the election night.
And
but that's what our job.
Biden is the winner.
That's how it appears right now. We had in Floyd County, they never took out the memory stick in one of the machines used for early voting, and that added about 2,600 votes, which gave President Trump 800 more. But when you're short 14,000 votes, it doesn't get you there. It's 159 counties, and it really just shows you where we are as a state. The problem is when you live in your bubble of an 85% Trump, district, you don't understand how it happens. But districts change over time, and that's why we need to make sure that we always, build on our message and make sure that we're reaching out to voters. And I guess I just really want to make sure that I mind all my P's, all my Q's, so that we can run this election, with integrity, and so that in Georgia, people won't be able to question results. There's 49 other states, and all the secretaries of state over there can run their elections. My job is Georgia, and that's what I'm focused in. So my Georgians have confidence.
Democrats have called for an ethics investigation looking into this. Do you think they're justified?
Well, that's Washington politics, and I'm going to tend to what we do here in Georgia. I love Georgia, and this is where my home is, and Secretary of State is where my focus is.
Why do you think Donald Trump, in the midst of a global pandemic, was so reluctant to encourage his supporters to vote by mail?
I think President Trump was looking at some of the other states where they just send out a live ballot. And how do you really identify those people? And that's what some people did. But in Georgia, we followed the law. In fact, over this year, because of some of the issues you could have with absentee ballot, we even strengthened the signature match. For the first time, we have photo ID. If you used our online portal, then it required photo ID, and it connected you seamlessly to your driver's license. So we knew it was you that was applying for the absentee ballot. We had an app called Ballot Track, so you could see where your ballot was in the process. And then we understood that wait times were one of the biggest issues, and we wanted to keep all options open. 16 days of early voting, day of election. And so we helped work on making sure you could securely and safely move through those lines during election day. And we did that. We had an average wait time on election day of 2 minutes.
Can you explain the hand recount and audit you've ordered?
What we're doing is a risk limiting audit, and state law requires us to do a 90% minimum confidence level. But instead of scanning those through the machines again, we said, let's go ahead and count these by hand, because some of these people are questioning, are these machines accurate? So everyone is looking at these ballots. Who did you want for president? Did you want Trump, Biden, or Joe Jurgensen? And it goes in 3 piles, and then you count them by hand. And that's what we've done to secure and make sure that you know exactly what it is. We've tasked them to be done by the 18th because we have to certify this election on the 20th. Then if it is within a 0.5%, the candidate that has gotten the lower total can say, I would like 100% recount. Then we'll grab up all those ballots and we'll run them through the scanners, and we'll do the same thing again, because that is their right, and we'll follow state law.
Do you expect the Trump campaign to ask for a full recount?
The losing candidate, whatever side that may be on, if they're within 0.5%, they can ask for a recount that'll be paid for by the state of Georgia, which is covered in state law. And I'm fully expecting that we probably will have then a recount afterwards, which will be running those ballots through the scanner, and that is their right.
There will be a runoff for Georgia's 2 Senate seats on January 5th. Why was this necessary?
We're one of only a couple states where to win a race, you have to have 50+1. And when you have multiple candidates, 3, 5, and in case of Senator Loeffler, she had 20 different folks that were running in that race. And so that's why she's in a runoff. It just happens. It's a sifting, but it makes sure that whoever wins has the will of a majority of Georgians. And we don't change our laws in midstream. And so we'll be using the same laws. At the end of the day, our biggest concern is people thinking that they can just bebop into Georgia and say that they're a resident of Georgia and register to vote. No, we are tagging everyone, and we're going to be making sure that they're here as a permanent resident. The Attorney General and I have put out statements to that effect, because it's fraud and we will not tolerate it. It's a felony, and we'll pursue it.
Because of all these court challenges, are you concerned about the American public losing faith in the election process?
Not in Georgia, because I think what we're really doing is there's a lot of people on both sides of the aisle that are really looking at this, and they're saying, okay, that's nice to know. So when someone wins, they're going to win honestly, and we can't question the results. And Stacey Abrams needs to get over it. She lost, and she lost fairly. But for 2 years, she went on and said that she was the governor in waiting, or whatever she said. And that wasn't helpful then, and it wouldn't be helpful now for people to question what the results actually are in Georgia.
Having said that, do you think Stacey Abrams deserves a lot of credit for turning out the vote?
She did 2 years ago. It's just that Governor Kemp turned out more. This year, if you look at what happened, her team and herself, they turned out voters. So there's a model going forward that Republicans need to have a message that resonates with more people throughout the entire state of Georgia.